This episode was brought to you by Locali. Looking for that perfect spot where every guest is treated like family? Welcome to Locali Restaurant in Little Silver, where family recipes meet elevated Italian cuisine. From hand-tossed Neapolitan pizzas to mouth-watering chicken parm, fresh seafood, and perfectly cooked steaks, every bite tells a story generations in the making. Relax on their year-round patio, enjoy a craft cocktail from their full bar, or let them bring the flavor to you with catering for any occasion. Locali Restaurant, family-owned, family-inspired, and always unforgettable. Mention Food Czar podcast to get 10% off any takeout order. Visit Locali in Little Silver or online at localinj.com. This episode is brought to you by Livingston Car Wash. Since 1966, Livingston Car Wash has been a trusted name for quality car care in our community. Family owned and operated, it's now led by Paul Ritter, a proud Livingston resident dedicated to delivering exceptional service. From exterior washes and full-service detailing to windshield chip repair and paintless dent removal, their team handles it all with precision and care. Conveniently located at the Route 10 Circle in Livingston and open 7 days a week, Livingston Car Wash combines decades of expertise with a genuine commitment to the community. Drive clean, drive local, drive with confidence. Livingston Car Wash.
This is Behind the Counter.
Behind the Counter
with the Food Czar. Here's Heidi.
Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Counter with the Food Czar, which is me, Heidi Blum. Today, I'm having a little bit of a coffee talk. How do you like that?
Little coffee talk.
Little coffee talk. I am
amongst
sitting.
yourselves.
I am sitting with the owner of Paper Plane Coffee in Montclair, Jonathan Echeverry.
Yes.
Did I just say it right?
Yeah.
Oh, look at me.
Yeah, it means new house in Basque.
What's Basque?
So Basque is a region in northeast Spain and southwest France. That was its own kind of thing.
Basque.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so like
that-
San Sebastian, like Pamplona, it's like north of Barcelona, but Basque.
Can you
is its
speak
own-
in that?
That's its
in
own,
that accent?
I mean, I can do my Latino accent.
Thank
Hello,
you
everybody.
very much. I think that would really attract a lot of the listeners.
Yeah, that'll get everybody. That's the hook.
That's
like,
the hook.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Barcelona,
to Paper
right?
Plane.
Yes,
Barcelona. Yeah.
Barcelona. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I thought this was, first of all, I feel honored to be sitting with you, so I'm glad you
stop it.
said yes. No, I'm serious. But I thought it was a good time because you do have a second location opening up, which we'll get to. But Paper Plane Coffee in my house, I was telling Jonathan before, my son and my wife are very big coffee connoisseurs, or so they think.
Yeah.
And this is one of their tops. So I feel like they may actually listen to this podcast too, finally. All right. So Paper Plane, I did a little bit of research, which I typically don't do. But Paper Plane, it's Plane as an airplane. But Paper Plane is actually a play on words, correct?
It is. So I am a fifth generation Colombian coffee grower. My family has been growing coffee in Colombia now, I've lost count, but it's about 150 to 160 years.
Wow.
That we've been growing coffee in this particular region in Colombia.
What's the region?
It's called Risaralda.
Okay.
And the town that we're from is called Santuario. And so my great-great-grandfather was one of the co-founders of this town.
Wow.
And he was a bit of a nomad. I actually got this really cool picture of him, and he looks like a hobbit, and he's just he's just got this giant
Like how
giant
you would
beard.
picture a coffee maker in Colombia in the mountains.
Yeah. And he was, I guess he was coming. He had traveled around, and coffee was making its way in from Brazil at the time and becoming a major export. The town was founded as kind of like a German settlement.
Huh.
So in like the early, mid 1800s, a family of like German settlers had moved to Colombia, had picked this picturesque mountain in the Andes Mountains and started this German colony. And as you can imagine, as all good Germans would do, they had a brewery and a bakery. But those weren't really viable like commercial things. And so coffee was becoming this thing. And my grandfather had worked on early coffee farms in what's Antioquia now, or in Medellin. And yeah, he started working on these farms, and the region where we're at became just a huge coffee producing region.
Wow.
And so my brothers and I, we're first generation American. My parents came here to New Jersey in the 1960s.
Oh, wow. I was just going to ask you if you grew up in Colombia, but they moved to New Jersey?
Yeah, they moved to New Jersey. Both my brothers were born here in New Jersey. And then somewhere along the lines, my parents visited some friends in just outside of Atlanta. And it was like March, and it was like a frozen tundra here. And my dad worked in construction, and he hated it because he's not used to the cold. He hated the cold. And he went down there, and it was spring. And he was just like, what is this magical place called Georgia? And I mean, like the prices were so less expensive.
Yeah.
And they pretty much came back, sold all of their things, and moved like right next to their best friends that had moved down there. And then I was born in Atlanta, grew up in Atlanta.
Wow.
I got picked on all the time because my Joyzy brothers were like, hey, yeah, you're from Atlanta.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
And then I'm the only brother that moved up north. But we would actually spend our summers on my grandfather's coffee farm.
Okay.
So pretty much from, like June to
August.
like August, we would be on our farm. And it was amazing. I mean, for me, I would wake up at, 5 a.m. Our farm is a mile above sea level. Like we're right at the cusp of being a mile above sea level. So it was great because some days you'd wake up in the clouds. Some days you'd wake up above the clouds.
Wow.
And so I would go and I'd find my grandfather because like clockwork, he was milking the cows. And I would help him milk the cows because I was fascinated with all the farm things. And then we'd have our breakfast and he'd strap a basket onto me. And I'd go and I'd help pick coffee just because it was fun. And it was like, I always joke and I say my friends had like summer camp here.
Yes,
and
of
I
course.
had Colombia, which is like my own little like Latino Narnia.
Yeah, you had a like coffee camp.
Yeah.
So what's the process? Like when you say like he would strap a basket on you.
Yep.
Like talk to me as if I know nothing about coffee, which I don't know the business at all. So you strap on a basket and what happens?
Well, it's funny because most people don't know much about coffee other than,
what they drink.
It's a bean.
Yeah.
And, you can make delicious drinks out of it. But a lot of people just assume that it's picked in its roasted form by a beautiful mustached man and his donkey high up in the Colombian mountains,
That's
it's just
what
like,
I thought.
Yeah, they're like 100% coffee colombiano. So coffee is a fruit and it grows on a shrubbery,
like a berry?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it almost looks like a very small cherry tomato. And they grow in like bundles.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, most of the coffee plants at this point, I mean, like humans have been like growing and picking coffee for so long that they've actually like created these varietals that are the perfect height, because they can grow up to be like 8 feet tall.
Right.
But at that point, there's actually pictures of the early like 1900s with some of these varietals where you'd have to put a ladder up and you'd have to like pick coffee.
So when you say a varietal,
Yes.
like I'm in my mind equating that to like a wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Or think of it like apples.
Yeah.
Like
You
a Granny
have
Smith and a Red Delicious
Yes.
are still apples, but they're going to taste different. They're going to look different.
Yeah.
Or two Granny Smiths from two different farms in two different states or two different regions are going to be very different.
Yes. Okay. So they grow in bundles, and then what do? You just pick them off the bundle, or you take the bundle off?
Well, a lot of them will actually like ripen around the same time.
Okay.
But some won't. And so the goal is to pick the ripest cherry. In some cases, they're actually yellow.
Okay.
Which is cool. So you'll see like a variation of colors in coffee, depending on the varietal.
Oh, interesting.
But most of the coffee farmers, because there's a really rigorous selection process.
Yeah.
Those coffees end up going to like a co-op afterwards. And the co-ops work with, I mean, at this point, they're working with Nestle, they're working with Starbucks, they're working with a multitude of coffee importers and exporters.
Yep.
And those coffee importers and exporters have a quality that they have to kind of follow.
Yep.
And so if the farmers and the workers are picking coffee that isn't fully ripened,
Yep.
it won't be as dense.
Uh-huh.
The flavors won't be as developed. And so you can get less money for your coffee.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but then, so when the coffee is picked, at the end of the day, the coffee gets weighed. The worker gets paid for the amount of weight that they pick.
Yep.
In Colombia, typically the coffee will go through like a depulping process. So the outside skin it pushes through a machine, which pretty much just like squeezes the beans out.
Oh, wow.
The skin goes out and becomes compost.
So there's a bean in the middle of the...
There's two, actually. So think of them like, you've seen coffee beans, and the way that they fit
Yes.
are just kind of like two of those little beans are inside, and they're the cherry.
Wow.
And so two of those beans will end up falling in kind of like a vat.
Okay.
And then they're allowed to ferment because there's fruit
Yes.
on the outside of it, and it's sweet. Like if you're thinking about like a fruit, yes, it's a fruit. And actually, as kids, they would tell us that if we ate the coffee fruit, we would get anemia.
Really?
Yeah, they would like, don't eat the coffee fruit because you'll get anemia,
Oh.
And it's just like, it's not true. It's an old wives' tale.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking, I mean, like my dad was one of 14 growing up on a coffee farm. If you have 14 kids running through the coffee
Yeah, you don't want
fields-
them eating.
It's like worse than locusts, just a bunch
Oh
of
my
guys.
God.
Just-
That's hysterical.
yeah. So then they get, the fermentation allows for the fruit that's on the seed to get dislodged.
Uh-huh.
And then it's called mucilage, that like stickiness, like the sticky fruity substance that's on top of the bean, and it's not much of it. So once that ferments, it dislodges. You then wash off that mucilage, and then all you're left over with is the bean. And because there's no mucilage, because there's no fruit pulp on the bean, it allows for it to dry much quicker. And
Okay.
so that process became really popular in Colombia because it's just like within, a couple of weeks, you have that coffee ready for export.
I see.
Whereas like places like in Africa, like in Ethiopia, there's the infrastructure in a lot of places aren't there for like potable water in order to wash thousands of pounds of coffee or millions of pounds of coffee. And so they'll actually raisin the beans. And so that's a process called natural process, where the coffee
sun.
cherry, the sun will just like dry the bean out, and then they mill it, and you just get the bean. Which is funny though, because the taste is completely different because that fruit actually absorbs into the coffee.
That's interesting. So it tastes very different than
Some of them taste fruity.
Yeah.
Like I've had coffee that tastes like Fruity Pebbles, and I know people are like, "Why would I want a coffee that tastes like Fruity Pebbles?" And but believe me, you want a coffee that tastes like Fruity Pebbles.
If you like Fruity Pebbles,
I mean it's pretty cool. So we would spend our summers in Colombia on our coffee farm and learn all about this. But on top of that, like, it was paradise. I mean, we had every fruit we could imagine growing on the farm. I chased chickens all day long.
That's
I rode
so awesome.
horseback. I milked cows. I mean, it was incredible. And actually, one of the cool things we ended up finding out is that on our farm, it was an archaeological site. We ended up having a couple of the museums from Colombia come in and do digs because they found remnants of a pre-Columbian society. So we found pottery, we found, it's pretty cool. And what we were told is there's a giant mountain that's behind us called the Tatama. And we believe that they were sun worshipers, and the sun sets directly behind the Tatama mountain.
Yeah.
And so they would worship the mountain because they believed that the god would fall asleep behind the mountain.
Oh my God, that's wild.
It was pretty cool.
Does your family still have the farm?
Yeah. So when my grandfather started to get a bit older and couldn't do the manual labor, my father bought the farm from him. Our uncle has been running it for the past 20 years. And I mean, if you go, it's pretty much like the exact same farm.
That's incredible.
Some of the same facilities that my grandfather built.
And is this where you're getting your coffee from?
Yes and no. So we get, because we're specialty coffee, the coffee that we get has to be a certain grade.
Okay.
Of like 83 points and above.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily hard. It's more of a consistency that you have to do. And since a lot of the facilities on our farm were built with my grandfather built these facilities, it's hard to keep the consistency of the quality up.
Yep.
Because it was really a different philosophy back then.
Of course.
It was quantity over quality.
Yep.
because you had giant companies, at the time, I mean, like the Maxwell Houses and the Folgers and stuff like that, they were purchasing a bulk of this coffee. And the goal for like those first wave coffee shops was to give the consumer the exact same tasting coffee year over year, no matter what, because the last thing that you want is you go to Folgers and like you get your Folgers next month and it's like,
what's this?
Why does this taste like, this doesn't taste the same?
Yeah.
You would lose your customer base.
Yeah.
And, we are now in like the third and possibly even the fourth wave of coffee where we, like as a company, Paper Plane, we look at coffee like, modern wine makers look at wine.
Yep.
We look at vintages, the harvest season. Each one will have its different like microclimates. And so the way that we roast is very unique.
Yeah.
Because, and a lot of people will come in and they're like, what's your darkest roast? And we're like, we don't have one.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you have dark roast? And it's like, we want you to taste the coffee. Like dark roast is delicious. People will absolutely love dark roast.
Sure.
And it's very nostalgic. I mean, I remember a lot of the coffee that I grew up drinking was, the ink that my grandparents would just have sitting on a hot pot for so long.
Yes.
And it's nostalgic, right?
Yes.
And we all kind of grew to love it. But what I love about the light roast is that we are able to taste things that we've never been able to taste before in coffee. And it's just the coffee. We're not adding anything to the coffee necessarily. Like when I was saying Fruity Pebbles, and there's coffee that tastes like jasmine, and like
you can actually taste the flavors of it. Yeah,
and it's not like raspberry juice or like a lot of people get confused because it's not like a sugary jasmine. But I liken it to the movie Ratatouille when he's trying to explain to his brother like the tasting notes, and he's eating a strawberry and he sees a little flavor explosion and he eats the cheese and then he eats them both together. Like that's kind of what goes on when we're tasting coffee.
So what's the path? So you every summer work for your grandfather on the farm. You're in Atlanta. What gets you to this point?
All right. So we had Mexican restaurants growing up. And I know a lot of people will always ask, like, wait, you're Colombian and you had Mexican restaurants? And I was like, yes. That's, at the time.
Course, yeah.
Listen, in the 80s, not a lot of people knew a lot about Colombian. They knew the two C's coming from Colombia. And food wasn't one of them.
Wait, what's the second one? Oh, I got it. Yeah. I got it. Thank you. Go ahead. Carry on. Yep.
Cocoa.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and so that was always something that we always try to kind of get away from.
Yeah.
But one of my aunts was working at a Mexican restaurant, and she came home, and all of my aunts are incredible cooks, and so she comes home and she's like, "Guys, Americans love Mexican food."
Yes, they do.
And it's like the easiest thing. You just put a bunch of stuff in tortillas and like serve it with rice and beans, and it's like they'll eat it up. And so my parents, and none of them had restaurant experience, but they had cooking experience. They started these Mexican restaurants.
Wow.
And they opened up their first Mexican restaurant in Smyrna, Georgia in 1986, and it's still there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for them.
So as kids,
you worked there.
We worked there.
So did you go to college?
Yeah, actually. So, as you can imagine, my brothers and I, I'm the youngest of three boys, and we did every job imaginable at the restaurant.
Sure.
And it's funny because it was like, it wasn't asked of us. Like, that's one of the things about my parents never made us work there. They never asked us to work there.
That's incredible, because we know like today that's very different.
Oh yeah.
You have to push your kids. You have to, but is that like a culture thing for a Colombian?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
And I think also, I mean, like, we wanted to spend time with our parents.
That's nice.
We wanted to be there. And so I remember I was like a busboy, host, dishwasher, prep. Eventually, when I was 18, I became, I was like a server, then a bartender. And
they have a liquor license?
Yeah. So we had
margaritas.
All of it.
All
we
day,
actually
every day.
won several awards for like the best margaritas.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, and we had regulars that were like family. I mean, at that point they were there every single day.
And were you learning how to cook also?
Yeah. And so my mom was a big cook. My mom was like, she's the one sister where she's like, oh, I'm just making soup. The entire family would show up. And so
Love that.
I loved it, and I would just watch her.
Yeah.
Or some days I would be like, hey mom, I'm going to cook for you. And I would just use like a bunch of lettuce and salad and make it look pretty. And she's like, thanks for, using everything I had. Now I got to go shopping again.
Yeah.
But no, I always kind of like, I did that. I learned how to cook, like simple stuff like rice. And then my middle brother and I were the ones that we just kind of stayed at the restaurant. And we became foodies. Like we just became in the restaurant industry, just in general, you go out to other restaurants and you become friends with other restaurateurs. You become, you end up, you can only eat at your restaurant so
many times. I know.
And so we would start we'd go to these places and man, that's really cool. That's really cool. Ooh, I like that square plate. Ooh, what are they doing here? And so the idea kind of popped up. We're like, hey, why don't we elevate this a little bit? And I remember at the time, the food shows were exploding, with Hell's Kitchen and who's going to be the next top chef or whatever.
Yeah.
And I started getting these ads for Le Cordon Bleu in Atlanta. They had opened up a college. And they were like, do you dream of being a chef? Come and do it.
You're like, oh my God, they're speaking to me.
Yeah. And so I actually at that point I was like, I've been acting since I was 8. And so, I did a ton of theater all through high school. And then as soon as I got done with high school, I started doing film and TV. And one of the things about that is that the jobs are so few and far between that you work in restaurants. And so I was like, I don't really want to go to school for theater. I should go to school for culinary because I can always do this.
Yes.
I can always do this. It's like you have athletes that'll go and get a marketing degree or get, business degrees because you can only do something for so long.
Yes.
Professionally.
Yeah.
And so I went and I got a culinary degree. And it was actually really great at the time because, the school actually lost its accreditation.
Because I feel like that's a well-known culinary school.
So what ended up happening was that, you had private equity had licensed the name from the French Le Cordon Bleu and created this, unfortunate predatory school that was just, they were sending out these ads and people went in having no restaurant experience and just only watching the shows, and so by the time they would push hundreds of students out after 15 months, you have now 200 to 300 chefs jumping into a market that isn't needing 200 and 300 chefs that have zero restaurant experience.
So did they set you up? I know when I interview a lot of the chefs who went to culinary school, they set you up on internships. You had to do all that. Did they do that for you?
Well, at the time they had a lot of people come to the school to see, there was cruise lines and there was I think the Ritz-Carlton come. And one of the things that I ended up finding out was that by the time that I graduated, the name had been sullied because so many of these interns were getting fired because they couldn't crack it. They couldn't. I mean, it's really hard psychologically working in a kitchen.
Yeah.
Then and now,
it's a lot of pressure.
So hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard, and it's honestly a lot of these crazy chefs that you see. I mean, you kind of have to. You kind of have to lose it at a certain point because it's a bit of a drug.
It's a boiling point, no pun intended. I mean, it literally, I feel like it is. So were you enjoying, though, the school? Were you this is what I'm meant to do? I'm going to now graduate and be a chef?
Yeah. At a certain point, I really liked it because I like entertaining and I like talking to people and I like doing all this stuff. And so for me, and I like creating. So for me, creating food and seeing all these incredible things, and like I said, the chef instructors that I worked that taught me, were just incredible. They were incredibly inspiring, and so for me, I was like, this would be really cool. But I kind of noticed, when I got into the industry, is I talk too much to be in a kitchen, and God, I really annoyed a lot of the chefs that I worked with. And don't get me wrong, there was definitely a lot of chefs that were great, and I got really great advice from one of my chef instructors who was like, "You are going to work with really bad chefs, and you're going to be working with really good chefs. And the thing is you have to take equally from both of them. You got to learn what to replicate from the great chefs and what not to replicate from the bad chefs."
Yeah. So you graduate.
Yes.
And where do you go?
I started working at a restaurant in Atlanta, a fine dining place. And it became really frustrating for me because I got stuck at garde manger, which is just, for those that don't know, it's just like salad prep.
Yes.
And I was there for just like 3 or 4 months. Every single shift was garde manger, garde manger, garde manger. And again, I like to talk. And so, I was just like sitting there. I ended up picking up a couple other shifts, but it wasn't for me. Actually, I remember the chef coming in one day. So the executive chef that hired me got moved to another restaurant, and we got another executive chef that was working. And then we got another sous chef, and the sous chef thought that I was gunning for her position, when really I was just trying to finish my internship,
right?
So I can implement what I wanted to do at my restaurant,
right?
At our family restaurant, and what ended up happening was that the sous chef started to push me out. And at the time, it's funny because it's like I eventually started smoking cigarettes, but not at this time. Like it's not great. But working in that,
don't listen to him, kids. Yeah.
It was an unfortunate byproduct of being there. But the story was that the chefs and the cooks who did smoke cigarettes got smoke breaks, and you didn't get a break if you didn't smoke a cigarette.
Oh my God. So you're like, I'm going to smoke so I can get a break.
So I went out. I remember I would go outside and I would sit there, and the sous chef would come out and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm taking a breather. Do you smoke? No. Then why are you out here? Good. Grandma Jane needs you.
Smoke now.
Yeah. It's like, give me a.
Come here, honey. Yeah. Yes. So was the whole idea of this whole path of the culinary school and learning the restaurant business is to elevate your parents' Mexican restaurants?
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, that was in my mind, that was the biggest goal. And it's funny, but it was like once I was done with the internship, I ended up coming back to the restaurant.
Yeah.
And again, the restaurant was started by people that have never done restaurants, and at this point, it's 20 years on, we'd opened up 3 restaurants at that point, and even some of my other aunts and cousins had opened up restaurants. And so this one was my brothers and I, my dad, we'd let my dad just retire.
Yeah.
And so my brother and I were running it, and I went in and I was like, what are we doing about food costs? My brother was, what do you mean? I was like, what's our food cost percentage? And I started going in, and he's like, I don't know. And so I went in and I was like, oh my God, why are we buying this? Why are we buying this? Why are we? And I actually streamlined a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
But I don't know if any of y'all have ever worked with family, but it's very difficult.
I was going to say it's probably very difficult, and they were probably very stuck in their ways.
Yes.
And while you probably thought you were helping them elevate, they didn't want to be elevated.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
or they were just kind of they were like, what's this snot-nosed kid?
Yeah. He went to culinary school and now he knows everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that lasted for a little bit. And I had one of my really close friends from high school had moved out to California, and she was working for this chef that was on Who's Going to Be the Next Food Network star or something.
Yeah.
And she called me up and she's like, hey, do you want to come out to LA? I know that, you were acting for a long time. Do you want to run this food truck for us? Cause we have this Korean barbecue truck. And I know you went to culinary school. Maybe you can help out. I was like, yes. So I loaded all of my stuff into my truck, and I drove out to LA, and I started working on this food truck. And it was awesome at first because I was staying just outside of Hollywood.
Yes.
Really, part of the deal was I got this room in this really nice house, and I would just go work.
Yeah.
And then it just became really bad because I would get paid one week, and then the other week I wouldn't get paid.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get paid weekly.
Yeah.
And then then I'd get paid, but I wouldn't get paid for the week that I was owed. And I started my student loans started catching up with me. The life in California started catching up with me. I was working 80 hours a week.
Were you auditioning for?
I was hoping to,
yeah,
but I was working 80 hours a week.
Oh, so you didn't even have time to you didn't even got to that. Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed also was that the chef that we were working under had really great recipes, but again, never worked in a restaurant.
Ugh.
And even though like this particular chef, and I'm not going to name any names, but this particular chef got very far on the game show. I think they finished second.
Oh, wow.
Like runner up because their recipes were incredible. But again, never worked in a restaurant, didn't know any food costs. And so a lot of the stuff that we would do would be for like events and like private events.
Yeah.
So we'd have like a private event for 300 people and they would purchase 300 of everything on the menu for this event. And then like 3 or 4 days later, we're like, we have 150 chicken, like frozen. Like, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
And so I started bringing in food costs. And I remember it just became so stressful. We had drove down to San Diego. We were going to be on like Good Morning San Diego. And I remember both like my high school friend and the chef being like, you know, it looks like you have more office experience than you do like kitchen
culinary
experience. And I was like, listen, this has all been really stressful. And they were like, if you don't like it, then you can go back home. And I was like, you know what? That's the best thing I've heard in the past couple of weeks. And I had my backpack and I had everything. And I just like, I got on and I was in San Diego. I drove there with a food truck. And like, luckily I had GPS on my phone. There was an Amtrak station like 15 blocks up. I walked to the Amtrak station, took the Amtrak to Los Angeles, loaded up my car.
Went back and came back to Atlanta?
No, I lived in my car for 2 weeks while I tried. Because I was like, I'm already out here.
I'm going to stay here.
I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
I had a full IKEA bed in my my Xterra. I literally...
Like the futon?
It was like a full thing. I had everything, like my passenger seat and my back seats were all full. I slept like this. I lived on $5 Little Caesars pizzas.
Oh my God.
And actually, I had gotten a really good job at this place in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it. Like, this is it. I just need to do this for a little bit longer. And I just couldn't find a place to stay. And I was at my wit's end.
How old were you about?
I was 23.
I mean, young.
24, 25.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it. And my brother called me up and he's like, dude, just come back. I'm like, just come back. And I drove back. And I drove back because I was like, oh, I'm going to work at the restaurant. And I get back and I'm like, meet with my brother. And he's like, you're not working here. Like, you drive back. You have a safety net here, but we can't work together.
Oh my God.
And I was like, all right, cool. So I found a corporate job and that was fine, but I was just bored.
Yeah.
And that brings me to coming to New York City because I was just kind of like, I was bored in restaurants. And I had two options: go to Mexico City to work in music production.
Oh my God.
Or come up to New York, where my cousin, who's a deaf DJ, had become the global face of Hewlett Packard. And so I was going to run kind of his marketing while I got, set up. And then once I got set up, I started working in the city. I was working in fine dining. I was working at a place called Brasserie 8.5. That's no longer there. But if any Sex and the City fans,
yes, I feel like I know where. I feel like where is that?
It's on. It's in between 6th and 7th and 57th Street.
Yeah, so I used to work on 57th and 2nd. Yeah,
so right around the corner from Central Park and the Plaza Hotel.
Yeah, that's so funny.
It's that weird. It's that cool. There's a big 9 out front.
Yes,
but we'd have a bunch of like Sex and the City tourism come in because
it's across. That's where Nobu is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but the famous line was like, "Here we are, dressed to the nines in Brasserie 8.5."
That's so funny. It's so funny.
But I worked there for a really long time, and that's actually where I really got my fine dining chops.
Yeah.
From there, I just kind of migrated. I started working more cocktail programs, working in the front of the house because I like.
I was gonna say, which is probably perfect for you as someone who likes to talk. And you probably being front of the house is probably was a better option for you.
Yeah, and I could talk about the food. I can talk about what it paired well with, and that's kind of how I started getting into cocktails. And somewhere along the line, so I was dating a chef at the time, and her and I every Wednesday we would go out to different restaurants to try out new things because we were friends with all these people and checking out like what Michelin star or what New York mentioned. And I remember going to a tasting program. And at the tasting program, it was incredible because it was just like a gastropub. So they had like a deconstructed olive and it was just like, it was amazing. They had like foie gras in a syringe. And then at the very end, I asked for a shot of espresso. Yeah, no, I mean, it was like, it was very cool. Yeah. And then I asked for a shot of espresso at the very end. And they handed me something I could have made at home.
That's interesting.
And it stuck with me.
Yeah.
Like, and don't get me wrong, it was great.
Yeah.
It was fine, but it was like,
but it got your head thinking.
I was sitting there, I was like, man, we just had like these, like all these courses, all this stuff that I couldn't have made at home. And then on the final note, I got something that I could have gone home and made
like
myself.
it made this amazing meal, like sort of end on a flat note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I started, like, it kind of reignited this whole idea that I had long ago where I had even approached my parents. I'm like, or my dad, I was like, hey, what do we do with our coffee? Like, what do we do with our coffee? What happens? Like, when we grow it and we dry it and we do it all, and he's like, I honestly don't know. I know we sell it. I was like, who do we sell it to?
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know. I don't know. We sell it to the co-op and they sell it to whoever and it ends up wherever. And I was like, what if we start bringing it ourselves? He's like, it's probably impossible. And so I went down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then it kind of also coincided. My grandfather was 92 and he just got sick like that and passed away. Like it was just like, it was really abrupt, which is great because, I guess that's kind of like how you'd want to go out.
Yeah, I guess.
And this was 2014 and I was like, I have to go visit. I got to go to Colombia and pay my respects. And while I was there, I met my now mentor, who for me his name is Hernando Tapasco. And he is probably one of the most brilliant coffee minds in the entire world.
Wow.
And I met him because he worked at the Colombian Federation of Coffee Growers, and which is kind of like the Federation of Colombian Coffee Growers is Juan Valdez. So they're the ones who kind of created it, but they're the union.
There's like a real Juan Valdez.
There is, and he's actually one of the Juan Valdezes was from Santuario, where we're from, which is kind of cool. And they're contractually obligated to just like travel the world and be Juan Valdez. And so I met him and he was working at the Federation of Colombian Coffee Growers, and I had kind of like, I was like, oh man, this is really interesting. He was like, hey, come, we're doing a tasting tomorrow, and like, you can taste the coffees. And I was like, all right, cool. Now let me preface this. At the time, for me, coffee was like Starbucks coffee, Dunkin' coffee. It was like deli coffee, and it was fine. Everything tasted the same. I put a ton of milk and a ton of sugar in my coffee because
to make it better.
Like I just hated the bitterness of it, and I was just kind of like, whatever. So I went to this tasting, and it's all laid out really cool. And he hands me a cup, and he's like, "Taste that." And I was like, "Cool. Where's the milk and sugar?" And he's like, "No. Taste it first, and then we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Like if you want to add something to it later." And I tasted it, and it blew my mind. This was like the Fruity Pebbles one, where I was like, what is this? What'd you do to it? What'd you spray it with? And he's like, nothing. This is just coffee. And I was like, it's impossible. I've had coffee for 27 years now. Coffee's never tasted like this. And he's like, this is coffee. Every coffee. And then that was it. That was me jumping into the rabbit hole.
And it's like, this is what real coffee tastes like.
Yes. And then as soon as I got back to New York City, I started looking up, because he was like, this is what Third Wave Coffee. These are the people that you should look, while you're in New York City. I discovered a place called Blue Bottle. I discovered all the really cool places, Brooklyn Coffee Roasting, Toby's Estate
there's some really good places.
No, amazing. Yeah. And I was just kind of like, oh, this is so, and I just became obsessed with coffee. And then in 2015 is when I started Paper Plane Coffee Company. And originally when I first started it, I was like, what am I going to call it? What am I going to call it? Like, what's a fun name? And then I kind of started thinking about like things that, our coffee farm is called Villa Elisa after my grandmother Elisa. And then higher up in the mountain, we have a eucalyptus farm that's called Villa Amparo. And I was like, I don't want to call it Villa Amparo. Villa Elisa? No. What else? Los Planes de San Rafael. So up where the eucalyptus farm is, it's on the plains of the mountain.
Okay.
It's called Los Planes de San Rafael. And it's a national reserve at this point, but we were growing eucalyptus that we sold to the National Paper Company, and they would use it for pulps or extracts or anything. Yeah. But as a kid, I always thought it was punny that we grew, paper on the plains.
Yes.
And plains, plane, or planos, or los planes de San Rafael is spelled like plains.
Yes.
And then I was like, ooh,
it's PLAINS, but in
Spanish, PLANES.
Yes.
Planes. And even though I knocked off the S off of when naming it, I was like Paper Plane. And I was like, how cool is that? I really like that song, like by MIA, Paper Plane.
Yes. That's so awesome.
And then I was like, Paper Plane Coffee Company. It's got like paper. I was like, that's it. That was it. And
because now when you're saying it, there's so many different meanings of paper plane.
of course.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, and it's just like for me, like I'm one of those, like I'm a person that's like I'm not very like. I think it's funny because there's a lot of people that are just kind of like they try to get something that's like the sexiest name.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like like luxury, and I'm just a person that I have never taken myself seriously.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted the brand to be playful, and I wanted it to be nostalgic, and I wanted it to be, fun. I didn't want it to be like I always laughed at those, like working in nightlife and working in all these places, like all the the nightclubs and places that are like, oh yeah, this is the best place ever. And it's like for who?
Yeah,
like, for who?
For them.
Yeah. Like it's just kind of like if you like. The best is really just kind of like, you do the best you can.
Sure.
But anyway, so for me, I thought it was just something very fun. It was playful. It was nostalgic.
So what was the goal then? It was just to import great coffee?
Yeah.
I mean, is that, okay.
Yeah, that was it. Like the idea was just kind of like, I want to import coffee from our farm in Colombia, which actually was a lot harder. Like at the very beginning, it was a lot harder. And I was like, I got to do this. And I started working with a co-op from Santuario that was doing specialty that actually was exporting and importing.
And was your mentor helping you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that was one of the greatest things.
Yeah.
But I had a tiny roaster. I was roasting 1 pound every 15 minutes. So 4 pounds an hour.
Did you have a space?
So I rented I took all the last bit of money I had to get a small, like 1 kilo roaster. I was living at a place in Bed-Stuy.
Okay.
But I was never there. I was working at like 3 different places. I was working at my friend's hot dog company. Like delivering hot dogs, Brooklyn Hot Dog Company. Shout out, Tony's the man.
We'll tag them. We'll tag them.
Some of the best hot dogs there is. So yeah, I was living at this place that I was never at, working for Brooklyn Hot Dog Company, and then still acting on the side, like auditioning. At this point, I've just been doing voices for the past like 20 years, which is great because like if you book a job, you're in a studio for a couple hours and then you're done.
Yeah.
And then I was working at a restaurant bartending at night. And so I took all the money that I had and I bought my little roaster and I got this little studio space in like, I think it's called like East Williamsburg or something now. Or it's just an extension of Bushwick. And I was squatting in the place. I was like living in that place. There was a shower in the space and like it was not ideal, but I was like, I'll just do this until I can. And in 2017, I started selling coffee at Artisan Fleas.
Which is like a farmer's market type of place?
But it's more concentrated in like makers and artists. So
okay.
There are food vendors that'll come and do highlight stuff, but it's a lot of vintage clothes, jewelry, perfume makers.
So a flea market, as opposed to a farmer's market.
But like I guess like it's very New York, it's very Brooklyn,
of course,
so it's just like the higher end stuff. And so I started like going. I had a little espresso machine, and like I started just making coffee. And where I was at, I actually was kind of like smack dab in the middle of some of the places that I considered some of like the best coffee in the area.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I set myself apart?
Yes.
From, it's like, how do I get some of those people to come over here?
How do you? And coffee is such a concentrated market.
For
seems like.
Yeah.
So what? Okay, so go. I'm excited about hearing this.
So one thing that I started noticing, so when I would go around, like I went to Blue Bottle when they had their roastery in Williamsburg, and I remember sitting there, and there were these very excited people in front of me because it looks like there was their first time here, and they go up to the register and they're like, "Oh, I'd love a vanilla latte." And the barista looked like he could have just been slapped at that point. Just like, it's just like, wait, do you know where we're at? And if like Blue Bottle is one of those, like even their menus now, it's got 8 things on it. Okay. That's it. It's just kind of like
traditional
espresso.
Coffee.
Yeah. I mean, it's like espresso, cappuccino, latte, a couple pour overs, and that's it. Like no flavors, nothing like that.
Yeah.
I was like, do you know where you're at? And like, I was so taken aback by like the barista's like interaction.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you had this perfect opportunity to like
educate.
Yeah. Or not even educate. I mean, because people don't want to be like people don't want to feel like they're being educated when they're, there's a way of doing it.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, listen, this is how we're different. But he was just kind of like, no, dude, like, what do you want a cappuccino? What do you want?
It made them uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like they left and I was just sitting there and I was like, oh, like what if we look at coffee like I look at cocktails. Like, what if we take a really good coffee and make something incredible with it? Like, what if like I make like a Mexican chocolate, or what if we make a Vietnamese style coffee? So we do have flavors, but it's not like the pre-made flavors that you can get everywhere else.
Bottles.
Right, because that's one of the things that I noticed, where it's like, I, as kind of like a foodie, I kind of got bored of other coffee shops. Like, in the best possible way. They like coffee shops, especially independent coffee shops, are incredible. They do a great service for the community and for everything. But at a certain point, most of them just become carbon copies of like Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts.
Sure.
They still make delicious drinks, but at what point do we go to a new coffee shop and just be like, I'm going to have your caramel macchiato today?
Yes.
It's like, it's kind of like, I equate it to going to a really good burger place and being like, I want you to make me a Big Mac. Not your version of a Big Mac, but an actual Big Mac.
Yeah.
Right? And so rather than do that, like, I was like, instead of buying a pre-made vanilla, why don't we like use real vanilla extract and brown sugar? Or why don't we like, what other flavors? And I started kind of like, because of working in entertainment.
And mixologist. You're taking like your mixologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I started, in Williamsburg, I had a little menu that created for my experiments that was called Science. And it still lives on our science menu today, where those were kind of like, they started off as experiments.
Yeah.
And it was my way of just being like, hey, like, that a hazelnut whatever is good and a vanilla is good, and you can walk a block in any direction and get it. Why not try something that you haven't tried before?
So what was your first experiment?
I started simple. Like, I knew that I really liked Mexican chocolate.
Yeah.
Like, I like abuelita chocolate. A lot of Latin American chocolates incorporate cinnamon into the chocolate. So I was making like, cocoa cinnamon and like cayenne with like brown sugar. And I called it my Mayan latte. I love Vietnamese coffee. So I was like getting our cold brew and mixing it with sweetened condensed milk and then adding a touch of cardamom. And so the Nam Dam, because I was like, there's a show called Sense8, and one of the characters was obsessed with Van Damme.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, Van Damme, Nam Dam, yes, Vietnam.
That's amazing.
So that was the naming behind it, and that's.
So were you serving these at Artisan Fleas?
Yeah.
So did it start catching on? Those?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually had a concierge from the Williamsburg Hotel who was purposely sent. He was like, "This is the best." Like, this is the best drink you're going to find. He would send people for the Mayan latte. And I was like, wait, a concierge at a big hotel is sending people here over like Blue Bottle and partners in where Toby's estate at the time. And so I was like flattered. And then I was like, all right, what else can I do?
Like, do we maybe have something here?
Yeah. What else can I do? What else can I create? And I started just messing around. While I was in Colombia, I had tried Coca-Cola with espresso, and so I started making coffee sodas or like bubbly drinks. And I was still working at a bar, and I remember someone had asked for a Moscow Mule, and they canceled it before I added the vodka to it. And I was like, I know I really liked coffee tonics.
Yeah.
And a coffee tonic, if you're not familiar with it, is literally just that. Think of it like a gin and tonic, but rather than gin, you throw a shot of espresso in with the tonic soda. And it is incredibly refreshing. Like, it sounds like it would be disgusting, but it is so good.
It sounds like, like back in when you had an egg cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's, is that right? An egg
But you
cream?
don't, but there's no milk in it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
No,
just
but I'm saying like it was like that taste of a bubbly, the bubbly chocolate, the bubbly soda. That's crazy.
And they have like, I guess there's also like there's some of the Italian sodas that are like coffee soda. So I was like, I'm going to try what a Moscow Mule tastes like with espresso. And I tasted it and it blew I was like, this is incredible. I love this so much. And that became our Ruski. I started messing around with like Mexican Coke, vanilla, and cherry, and created our Vincent Vega. And then it just started compounding off of that. I was like, each month, why don't I do something like thematic?
Yeah.
And I started messing around with like Nesquik. I was like, because I grew up, again,
The best.
everything was about nostalgia. And it was like, you could go out and get like the finest, organic cocoa and stuff like that. Or you can get something that reminds you of your childhood and add espresso to it.
It's awesome.
So yeah, so that's kind of where a good base for everything.
So everything starts in your mind clicking, and I guess customer wise clicking.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I need my own space. I need. What happened?
Yeah, no. So I mean, like, so one of the biggest things about the menu was just trying to kind of like diversify the offerings.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like there are people that will go for a really good pour over, you know, or just a really good black coffee.
Yep.
Like that. There are people, but there's also a giant subset of people that want a really good tasting, like sweeter coffee drink.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's other people that just want a really good latte. And so you had like, I think at this point I had really figured out the menu, figured out what I wanted to do. It was actually like, you know, it was just me on the weekends for like 16-hour stretches.
Wow.
And I had gotten to a point where I was like, all right, cool. Like I've got 2 years underneath my belt of like solid revenue.
You must have been getting excited. Like,
I mean, it was really cool. And it was like, I didn't start paying myself until about 3 years ago. So this was, you know, all of the money that would generate. The only thing that like, any cash tips, I would be like, all right, cool. Like I'm paying for my my sandwich afterwards.
Yes, of course. I mean,
but everything else was, I was just keeping it. And because of that, I was able to get an SBA loan. I met my now wife in 2017. And as our relationship started getting serious and she knew about my living situation, she was like, you can't live on that couch anymore. Just like
stop squatting.
Yeah. Like come live with, you know, myself and our, you know, her oldest daughter, which is our daughter now, but, in Montclair, and, you know, we'll figure it out. And so I moved to Montclair and I discovered Montclair and I fell in love with Montclair. Like it was just like, I always say it's like the movie Pleasantville, like in the future, you know, like after, like, it was so nice. And then I started to hate my commute. I was like, oh God, I just like two hours in, if I'm lucky, 2 hours out, if I'm lucky. And then at what point, like I would get home and like, you know,
not have a life.
No.
Yeah.
And then I saw the space opened up here at 194 Claremont.
What was in here before?
So it was a place called Garage Store Antiques, or Garage Sale Antiques.
Okay.
And it was a really nice lady by the name of Julie, who unfortunately passed away. And the place had been vacant for about a year. And I remember just passing by and they had paper on the walls, and I was like, oh, wait, like, what is this place? Like, that's kind of cool. It's off the beaten path.
Yep.
I had asked, they had actually like not even put a sign up yet. And I just started asking around, and like I came into the space and I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's about the same, like, you know, I think I can put a small roaster in here. And even if it's just me making drinks, I know that I can do it. Like, I know that I can make all the drinks. I can roast while I do it.
Yep.
It'll be fine. Like even if I sell like $300 a day or $200 a day, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's enough to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
And
you're not commuting.
Right. Like I live right around the corner.
It's amazing.
So I pulled the trigger. I was able to get like just a small SBA loan that covered the cost of, you know, the brand new roaster, some of the furniture. You know, it was all IKEA or Target or, you know, just kind of like, you know, anything. And it still mostly kind of is. And then we opened up. There was a lot of buzz too, which was really great. And we opened up in September of 2019. And so 6 months after that, COVID hit.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
So we shut down, like, you know, everybody shut down.
Yep.
While everybody quarantined, try to figure it all out. I started seeing how other places were staying open with like, you know, like online ordering. And so I kind of took that time. I was still roasting.
Yeah.
So I would come in and I would roast for a couple hours. And then I just kind of put it out like on our social media. I was like, hey, listen, I'm doing contactless delivery. Free shipping. So if you live within a 20-mile radius of the cafe, you know, place your order online and I'll deliver it.
For the beans?
Yeah, for the beans.
Yeah. Wow,
and I was
smart.
just kind of like, I was like, I mean, what else am I doing?
And everyone, by the way, at that time, everyone was getting like coffee makers and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, that was
because everybody started to kind of figure out like, okay, we got to work remotely.
Yep.
And I still, like, I always have a bit of survivor's guilt because during that time, like once we started opening up, we became exponentially busier.
Yeah.
Because the majority of the people that lived in Montclair were commuting to the city at the time.
Yeah.
And now they were staying at home and discovering us.
Yes.
And so, you know, we had this broad swath of people who were just discovering us.
Incredible.
And so we went from like, I had 2 other baristas at the time that would just kind of like help fill in to like eat or use the bathroom. And it grew to like, I had like 7 and then like 8 and then like 14.
It's incredible.
Because we were doing online ordering, and then the good thing about working in restaurant and hospitality for so long is that you're able to, I think you can able to look into the future and be like, when we worked at restaurants, we'd be like, why is it so slow today?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a football game.
Yeah.
Or it's this holiday, or it's this holiday. And then after a while, it's like June's coming up. It's going to be slow. Everybody leaves for vacation.
Yeah.
So June came around and I was like, it's going to be really cold in a couple of months and I can't have my tent outside. Well, what are we going to do? So I called my contractor and I was like, hey, let's put up a wall so we can do contactless. My mother-in-law was going through like cancer treatment at the time. My wife is immunocompromised. Our oldest daughter has asthma. And so we took COVID very seriously.
Sure.
And not just that, but you can see the space. The space is kind of small. You can probably see it in the reflection, but it's small. And when we cut it down, it was even smaller. So there was no way to sit inside.
Yeah.
So we had no seats in here. This was all just retail.
Was this the first part, this section right here?
This was the second iteration.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
that side was the
third at that point. Yeah. So that was Them Two Hands originally, and Them Two Hands was here for 30 years.
Just so everyone who's listening understands what I just said, if you're not watching it. But so we're sitting in what looks like a coffee space.
Yeah.
And then, but there's also a second side to this.
Yes.
Which is really where you come in and order your coffee. This is now can be used as a private party space or flow over on the weekends.
And this was the original space. So this was like this, and we remodeled it.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we remodeled it, but it's been gone through so many iterations.
Yeah.
But no, we lasted. I mean, this was when people came in. So people would come in, and there was like plexi where they would order.
Yeah.
We had like cubbies so people could buy merch. We had books. We had but it was really just grab and go.
Yeah, sure.
Grab and go. But there was times where we would literally have a line just like going down the block.
It's incredible.
And of course, as an owner, you're like, all right, I need a bigger boat. What do I do? Them Two Hands, Marion was kind of retiring from the space. And if you guys know of Them Two Hands, they're incredible. She's still selling online.
What was it? What is it?
She made clothes.
Oh, okay.
Just like really beautiful clothes.
That's
and she
awesome.
was there for 30 years. She when she was leaving the space, the landlord came up to me and knew that we needed a bigger space.
Yeah.
And so I jumped on it immediately. We started working on that from 2021 and then opened up in 2023. We closed down this space. This space became kind of like our office. We were still roasting for a bit while we kind of like set up our roasting facility. And we have a new roasting facility in Orange. It's 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
And then in January of last year, so in January 2025, we started remodeling this space and then connected the two because what ended up happening is, again, we needed a bigger boat.
Yeah.
And the biggest complaint that we would get is like, well, there's never enough seats. And there's, as an owner, it's like, how do we extend it?
Well, because this is and you can see even when I walked in, and a lot of the locally owned coffee shops become a little mini community.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, people do work from home. They come in, they have their head. I saw some guy, has his headset on, he's taking work calls. I mean, so you want to be able to accommodate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And it's funny because, we'll get comments where people are like, you should limit the seats and you should limit the amount of time that people, it's like, that isn't hospitable. Like,
that's not the point. I mean, you can't.
No. And it's like, how would you feel if you were the person being limited?
I would sit here and do podcast interviews all day. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Maybe I will. So, I mean, so when everything opened up, I mean, you must have been, what's so interesting about your story is it sounds like you really didn't really know what your path was really going to be ultimately. And then you had this aha moment at that dinner with a little cup of coffee. And now, I'm not saying you're creating an empire, but maybe you're creating an empire of coffee. I mean, it's so interesting to me that like you sort of just kept pushing through, and this is where you're at. And number one, your coffee is really, really good.
Thank you.
Your space is amazing. And you're now when are you opening the new space?
I mean, we're hoping to open up this summer. I mean, doing this as long as I have, like, I know that like
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
So is the new space? So the new space is opening up in Maplewood. Is it about the same size of this?
No, it is like, I mean, so this.
Oh, it's big.
It's big.
It's big.
It's
I remember seeing the video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this space where we're at, like, so like the original cafe is a little over 800 square feet. And then the principal cafe is about a little less than 1,400 square feet.
Okay.
Together, it's, 2,200 square feet.
Because I remember you saying you're going to have other like pop-ups in there. You've room for other pop-ups,
Yeah,
which is
so
great.
the other one, Maplewood, is 7,200 square feet.
Oh my God.
So you can 5 of these over there.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it on the main drag?
It isn't. No, and actually, again, like I kind of like being off the beaten path.
Yeah, where is it?
It's on the opposite side of the village, so it's actually right in front of like Memorial Park, right next to Maplewood Mercantile.
Okay.
The street right there is Donnell.
Yeah.
Or Donnell Road. It's right next to the Manhattan-bound train station.
Awesome.
So it's cool. I mean, so one of the ideas at the very beginning, because it was so big, was like, do we move our roastery in there and then just split it up so people can see it? And then I was just thinking, I mean, like the amount of time that it would take for us to be like down a roaster to be able to do that, just it doesn't make sense. The amount of money to like bring over, and so I was like, no, and I don't want it to be just some gigantic, 7,000 square foot cafe. What can we do? And I loved art. I love my experience at Artisan Please.
Yeah,
I love kind of like the incubation of small businesses that does. Because I mean, God, if you would have seen me back then, who would have known? And it's just kind of like we would have, a cafe several years afterwards.
Yeah.
And there's people that have gone on and they've, created sunglass brands and stuff like that. So I think it would be really cool to have it feel like we're still kind of leaning into like the aviation theme.
Yes.
One of the things you'll notice if you come to the cafe, like we have airplane seats and there's like a lot of puns about like flights and stuff like that.
Like the sign I'm looking at right now. It says, Don't panic with a paper plane as the comma, the apostrophe.
And that's also my reference, my subtle nod to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, I don't know that, but that's fun.
It's fun. It's but yeah, no. So I felt like it would be really cool to create. Again, it's one thing. It's one thing for like businesses to be like, we stand for our community, and then really never do anything for the community. But I think it'd be really cool to like bring in smaller makers and have
So okay. So now we have the place in Montclair, the place in Maplewood opening. You are rocking and rolling.
Yes.
Did you do a lot of wholesale business too?
We do actually, yeah. So we're in most Whole Foods in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Very great.
No, I mean it's like it's incredible, and that actually happened serendipitously too. But we're looking at like Northeast expansion with Whole Foods, which would be incredible.
Yeah.
But we also have a lot of like independent cafes, independent restaurants that carry our coffee. I mean, just here in Montclair, like we're in Brick and Dough, the Last Minute store. We're at Just Jake's. We're at I'm blinking on so many of the names, but we're working with a bunch of like incredible partners, not just in Montclair, in Maplewood, in South Orange. We work with the guys over at the Player Agency at the Baird. Baker Street Market sells our coffee. We partner up with a lot, like we work really closely with Gotham FC also. So it's the women's soccer team for New York and New Jersey.
Awesome.
Also with the New York Sirens. So it's really cool. Like I'm one of those where it's kind of like I try to jump on kind of any opportunity and any relationship. We have this really cool collaboration with Daryl DMC McDaniels from Run DMC.
Run DMC, man, come on.
Yeah,
that's
no,
amazing.
and he is.
That I remember my cassette when they. I mean, I tried breakdancing because of that.
I used to breakdance.
I was not good, but I tried it. But I love that. I mean, that's the best.
Yeah. No. So I mean, meeting. It's so cool.
Sorry.
No. It's so. I mean, like it's one of those things where I constantly have to pinch myself because I'm like, oh my god, like I'm friends with Daryl. Like, how cool is that? And we made a special blend for him that's Dominican, Mexican, and Colombian, so DMC.
Yes, that's awesome.
No, so it's one of those things where, like, again, we try to keep it light. We try not to take ourselves too seriously. We try to just be like, we want coffee to be fun. We want, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just, again, like, in thinking about the future, I don't care. Well, I mean, like, I don't, like, my priority isn't like, yes, I'm going to build the next Starbucks or whatever. Like, there's a couple carrots on the stick, but it's more about just kind of like,
you also want to remain true to who you are and how it started and the community feel you have here and all that.
Yeah, and my whole ethos is just kind of like, I just want to do fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
you seem like you do.
I just want to do fun stuff.
So my last two questions for you are, one is, what's the top seller coffee? I mean, you named all these fun coffees. What's the top seller, you think?
Oh, for us, it's our Dogma blend.
Okay.
And our Dogma, like, I named it because I was like aside from the movie that was filmed,
of course.
Kevin Smith in New Jersey, Dogma is a religion, and it's just kind of like, for many people, like, coffee can be a religion.
It sure can.
I wanted our Dogma to be kind of like our blend. And that's our biggest seller. That's what we use for our drip, our espresso, and our cold brew. It's Brazilian, Colombian, and Ethiopian. And I mean, it's incredible. It's one of those things where, like, it's really an eye opener for a lot of traditional coffee drinkers, because I really like the Brazilian gives it, like, the chocolatiness and the nuttiness and the body that a lot of, like, traditional coffee drinkers will look for.
Okay.
And when I say traditional, I'm talking about, like, the medium to dark roast people, because they're looking for something that's, like, strong tasting.
Yep.
But at the same time, it doesn't have kind of like that lingering bitterness that sometimes those, like, darker roasts will have.
Sure.
And one of the things that I like to emphasize is that, like, there's no caffeine difference between light, medium, or dark. And that's a common misconception. Like, caffeine, you can literally turn coffee into ashes and it'll still have the exact same amount of caffeine. The biggest difference is, like, think of it as a cooking process, or think of it like a steak.
Yep.
A rare steak, you're going to taste more of the actual, like, meat and steak itself, whereas, like, a well-done steak, you're going to taste the cooking process, right? You're going to taste some of the more of the caramelization of the meat, or even, like, for the vegans, bread. If you burn toast, you're going to taste, like, the sugars that have overdeveloped in that toast. The same with coffee. So our Dogma ends up being really great because it's got a really great body, but at the same time, it's super smooth, it's sweet, and it doesn't live with you.
Okay. Yeah. You don't get that. Yeah. My other question for you is, like I said earlier, like, your story, I think, is so interesting listening to you tell it, because you started off, like, on the farms, working for your parents, the whole journey. Looking back, right? What would you tell yourself back then when you were 23 working on the Korean food truck in LA? I mean, what would you say to yourself back then that you know now?
Get an office job. No.
You were not meant for an office job.
No, never.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, nothing. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's been such an incredible ride because of all of the bumps and all of the unknowns. And I can't imagine it going any differently. There are obviously, like, all of us will get to a certain point in our lives where we'll look back and it's like, if I would have done that, if I would have done that, if I would have done that. I mean, those are all just kind of like different paths, but I can't imagine what life would have been like had I started in Decatur, or like we were talking about, like Decatur, Georgia. One of the original plans was, instead of coming to Montclair, was to open something up in Atlanta, where my family's from. And I didn't do that. And I'm just kind of like, I wonder if any of these incredible things would have happened had I gone there. And so I'm worried, I think I've watched enough sci-fi and enough futuristic movies where it's kind of like, you're just going to ruin it if you tell.
I mean, it's like sliding doors, you just don't know. That path could have not worked out for you, and you could be who knows where.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. To me, I know we just met, but this to me is, like, honestly, just listening to it, it's very cool. I find, like, coffee so interesting, especially because I don't know it, and I know how much people love it.
Yeah.
So I love that, but I think this is a cool story. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Paper Plane is going to the moon, man.
I'm happy just with a couple of shops, but yeah, maybe to the moon.
Maybe not the moon. Maybe not. Maybe just a little flight. Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Well, I think what's exciting is I think you're in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like you're rock and rolling here. You're opening up Maplewood. I feel like there's so much more ahead of you.
Yeah.
So it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I'm most excited for the in between.
Yes.
You know, I think it's definitely all of the incredible people that I've met along this incredible journey. It's just like it's made everything so. It's made the long hours. It's made the story and the hardships so much worth it. You know, so it's made it worth it.
Well, you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And even though we just met, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. This was
Absolutely.
awesome. And if you want to try Paper Plane, come to Paper Plane in Montclair and hopefully opening this summer in Maplewood.
That's right. Yeah, you can also order our coffee beans online. We ship pretty much everywhere.
Or you can come pick them up, which I'm going to take some home today. Yes. A little Run DMC. Yeah. Can't wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
If you are hearing this message, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I'm truly grateful for you and this opportunity. The purpose of the Behind the Counter podcast is to bring food, people, and community together. I hope you'll return for more episodes and explore with me. I want to personally thank Fran Linnell of Design 68 for my amazing Behind the Counter podcast logo, and Travis Lohenberg for my awesome Behind the Counter music, and all the guests that take their time to sit and talk with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you hear your podcasts. If you'd like to support the Behind the Counter podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends and family, and you can follow me on Instagram at Heidi Blum. If you have any feedback or stories that you want to share, you can email me at foodczarbtc@gmail.com.